So I definitely have a lot of regrets around what I should have done with money over the last 25 years. Or I think of all the money that I've been wasted, or all the money how I never set aside anything for my own financial security, and that bothers me. I think I've always had my head in the sand a lot about money. Just got to get out of my own way now. I think I just always thought there's plenty of time. I can rewrite the money story now. It's not too late. Hey guys, it's Mel. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm about to take some photographs of some books that I'm then going to list into my eBay store. While I'm taking the photos of the books, I'm going to talk to you about the mindset that millionaires and billionaires have. This topic of conversation today has been sparked because I have been listening to another YouTube channel while I've been taking photographs this week. And I've watched them for a long time, but for the last few days I've really just binged listened to them every single time I'm taking photos. And I've had a notepad next to me and I've been taking notes the whole time. And I've got my notepad here so I can, refer to it while I'm talking to you, because these are notes that I've written down for myself, but I kind of feel like, well, you guys would maybe benefit from learning about what I've learned. So I may as well share the knowledge that I've learned. The YouTube channel is called School of Hard Knocks. And this is a YouTube channel that's been built by a young kid. He's about 23 years old. And he's built a social media business, basically. He's got like 10 million followers between the platforms, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I think he kind of started in TikTok and it's just grown huge. But what he does is he goes around and he interviews millionaires and billionaires. So he goes to the most wealthy suburbs in mostly America, but he does travel over to Dubai, and I do think he's looking to travel more worldwide now that he's become really quite famous at doing this task. But he goes all over America, and he basically goes and stands outside the Louis Vuitton shop, and I can't even say it, Louis Vuitton. Clearly I don't have a Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton, whatever it is. It's not really my jam, guys. I don't think it would matter how much money I had. I'm not really interested in Louis Vuitton. So anyway, he basically goes around and he hangs around the streets where these rich shops are, or he goes to wealthy areas, or he goes and stands outside the expensive watch shop or wherever he goes. And now he's kind of getting big that he's able to actually set some interviews up with millionaires and billionaires. But the thing that I like about this channel is his videos are very fast paced, which suits me because I like fast paced. I like listening to people who talk fast themselves. It's because I think it's like the ADD in me. But basically, he goes around, he stands in the streets, he watches for people who drive up in Lamborghinis or really expensive cars, and then he goes over to their windows and he's starts talking to them and he starts trying to interview them. And so his videos are normally about 15 to 20 minutes long, and during that time he's normally interviewing 3 or 4 millionaire or billionaires, and it goes very fast because he's stopping them in the street, and he's very aware at the little time these people have. These people who are making a lot of money, they value their time and they don't just dilly-dally around the streets and have a huge amount of time. So he's very respectful of that. He talks very fast to get the most amount of questions that he can ask them in the period of 4 or 5 minutes. And he's created this whole channel around just asking millionaires and billionaires how much money they make, what's the most they've ever made in a year, what type of advice would they give to people who are starting out in business and entrepreneurs. Can anybody go from being broke to making all this money? And he asks them if they've ever been broke, and he asks them for his tips for other people. He asks them for the tips basically for the younger generation, but I think it's for any generation that's, focusing on trying to create some kind of wealth in their life, financial wealth. Now, obviously, all these people that he interviews are very, very financially successful. And I'm not here trying to say that being financially successful is the only way to be deemed successful. There's a lot of people in life who who don't want to be like millionaires or billionaires. Now, I like to listen to these kind of interviews and discussions with people who are financially wealthy, because I'm the type of person who has struggled a lot over the years with my own personal self-worth. Not self-worth, self-worth. I've struggled with my personal self-worth and self-worth, I guess. But I have struggled with many money blocks as well around how to make money. I haven't really been able to build myself any financial security for the long term, and I've got a lot of money regrets in my life and things that I'd wished I'd learnt earlier, and like things that I'm learning about now about money and investing and the stuff that I'm researching and saving money and stacking the cash and everything. I have a lot of regrets around not taking more of an interest in that when I was younger. I think I just always thought there's plenty of time and, I don't need to save for that now. I can, use my money for this or use my money for that. And, the saving can come later. And I've never really understood when I was young about how money compounds. I just was never taught anything like that. And I never had really any knowledge about shares. Like my mum and my stepfather, they weren't into shares. It wasn't something that they knew a lot about. So obviously you don't teach other people things that you don't know yourself a lot about. And the only person really in my family who knew a lot about shares was my grandfather. And I just sadly didn't have, he didn't live like near me. And we just sadly didn't have that kind of relationship where he taught us stuff like that. He was, when he died, he had so much money in shares, and he became very wealthy from being so knowledgeable in shares. And I feel really disappointed almost that I didn't get to learn from him. And as an adult, I didn't ask about it, because it wasn't something that was in my, I just wasn't around people, I guess, who talked a lot around shares. Like through my life, I've been around a lot of people who have talked about real estate. My brother's a real estate agent. My cousin is a property developer. So if I've got any questions around real estate, I've got people to ask, and I understand real estate. And I guess real estate, I can see that my brother has made good money from real estate, and my cousin has made very good money from real estate. So in my head, it's always been like, okay, yeah, you make your money from real estate. But at the moment, I don't have any real estate since my divorce. I haven't been able to buy another house yet, so I don't have any real estate. I don't have any shares. And I guess I am definitely thinking more about money now and my financial security for my long-term future now. And it's something that I'm very aware of, that back in the day when I used to think I had plenty of time, well, now in my late 40s, I don't have plenty of time anymore. And I'm not saying I don't have time, but I don't have plenty of time. I don't have as much time as I had, and I definitely can't compound the same amount of money that I could have if I'd started doing this kind of thing when I was younger. So it's one of my biggest regrets, and it's something that I'm putting a lot of time and energy into learning about at the moment, because I might never be a billionaire, but my main purpose is to build myself financial security so that when I'm older, in like 20, 25 years or whatever, like I've got that financial security there so that I don't become a burden on my own children. And it's just something that I'm very conscious about. So I spend a lot of time listening to things on money. And I still feel like I'm listening to a lot of things on money, but I haven't taken like the plunge with stuff yet. And I'm definitely like learning about shares and stuff, because I feel like it's a bit of a scary thing when you don't know about it to just launch in and go, oh, I'm going to buy all these shares. It's kind of scary when you've never done anything with shares. And I know they make it quite easy now, but I'm still in the, I haven't done anything about it yet. And I just I keep thinking about it for like months and months, like, yep, I'm going to start getting some shares, even if it's just, a couple $100 a month. From what I'm learning from millionaires and billionaires and listening to them talk and YouTube videos, you just got to start as quickly as possible in doing that kind of stuff. And one thing that I heard in this YouTube podcast, this School of Hard Knocks, the same message keeps getting repeated from, doesn't matter, all the millionaires and the billionaires that he speaks to, they nearly all say the same things when it comes to money. They're all giving a lot of the same advice. And so if all these people are giving the same advice, well, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We need to look at what these people who are actually being financially successful are doing, and then try and work out a way that we can do something similar in our own way. So I definitely have a lot of regrets around what I should have done with money over the last 25 years. Or I think of all the money that I've been wasted, or all the money how I never set aside anything for my own financial security, and that bothers me. But I've got the opportunity now to rewrite my story, but I have to knuckle down, and I have to really make learning about money an absolute priority. And I think I've always had my head in the sand a lot about money, because I'll do that later, or I don't understand it, or I don't know where to get the right advice from, or I don't know who to ask. And I think I just got to get out of my own way now, and I can rewrite the money story now. It's not too late. Obviously, it's not ideal, and it would have been better if I'd learnt my money story earlier in my life. So I'll read you some of my notes here that I've got written down. Now, when I take notes, sometimes it's not stuff that's new to me. It's stuff that I've heard before, but it's just stuff that resonates with me at the time, or it's like a reminder that I need to look back at my notes on. So the first thing I've got written down here is determination. And it says here, get up and do it again. And I think that is the mindset of a lot of successful people. They're not scared of failing. They get up every day. They just do it and do it and they do it, and they don't stop. And they are very determined. People who are successful are very determined. So they've also said here, and a lot of them say this, is work for success, not for money. And I think this is true, because I talked a little bit about this in my video the other day that was called Create Your Own Job. And I think it's great to create your own job and create your own wealth avenues. Very, very hard to be an entrepreneur or into a business if you don't like what you're doing. It will lead to a lot of resentment and frustrations. And I don't think it's really easy just to get up and do long hours every single day if it's not something that you're passionate about, or something that you love doing, or something that, interests you. It's very, very hard to build a business around something that doesn't interest you. So work for success and not for money. And then if you are working and you are putting in the work, then it's almost, I'm going to say it's almost guaranteed that if you show up and you're consistent and you keep working and working on your goals and your dreams and your business, then the money will follow. And Tech and Sports always says this as well. You put in the work, you keep listing, you list quality items in your eBay store, you list desirable items in your eBay store that are going to sell, and every single day you show up and you get your listings done and your photos done and you do the actual work. And if you stay consistent, the money will follow, right? It's the same as even like YouTube. People who come in and they stay in, they show up and they're consistent and consistent. Often or not, at some stage, that's when their YouTube channels take off or the business starts to grow. So work for success and not for money. I think that's very, very true. If you're only working for money, it's going to become tiring if you don't actually love what you're doing. So many of these millionaires and billionaires, they said to focus on one core thing in your business and then scale it. Basically become an expert at that one core thing in your business and then scale it. So I guess that is very much like what a lot of us do in the reselling business, and Tech and Sports kind of teaches this a little bit as well. It's why they suggest niching down on eBay. Become an expert at one thing. So like me with books, become really, really good at doing books. And then like you can focus then on adding other things into your reselling business. Like I could add CDs, I could add DVDs, because I've got the books to scaling the books to a level where I've almost become an expert at book selling, right? So scale it up and be good. But what they were kind of saying is, don't split your focus. Don't have a reselling business, a burger shop, a laundromat. Like, don't have all these different types of focuses that are like taking, you're like the jack of all trades. You're not just focusing on being really good at one thing. They're saying you can niche out within your business, which would be like having a reselling business, becoming an expert at one genre and then adding in another genre. But don't be like, have all these totally different businesses where none of them are totally relevant to each other, because it splits your focus, and then you can't scale if your focus is being split between all these different things. I do feel like that one is appropriate in my life, and I think focusing on one core thing with the books has been very beneficial to my type of personality with ADHD, because it's very easy for me to get sidetracked with shiny things. And by focusing on the books, occasionally I go a little bit squirrel and buy something random like a doll's house. But the rest of the time, I'm just focused on doing my books and keeping my systems the same and scaling my book business to the level that I want to scale it. The secret to success is communication and never showing emotions in business. That always reminds me of Tech and Sports. Because sometimes when I look at Tech, he doesn't have any emotions when it comes to business. It's very black and white, because he has set very firm boundaries in his store that he's able to take the emotion out of it. Whereas somebody like me, who is quite an emotional person, I really can struggle sometimes with the emotional side of business, and I think I'm better at it than I used to be. But you've got to try not to take offense to everything. Like somebody sends you a message and they're rude, or they're complaining about something, you've got to try not to take it as a personal thing. And we can go onto Facebook groups all the time. It's a prime example. You go onto a Facebook group and somebody is whinging about how somebody's spoken to them or whatever. Like anybody who's posting in a Facebook group, oh, look at this customer, or look at this, like they're emotionally offended by that. Or they emotionally don't know how to deal with that problem. You've got to be able to take the emotions out of it. And, the best way to do that is to focus just on having good systems, having good boundaries set into your business, so the answers, yes, no, we do that in our business, or, and take the emotions out of it. And they also said here, what did it say? The secret to success is communication. And I would have to agree with that. I think communication is massive, not just in your business, but even in your personal relationships. If you can't communicate with business, if you can't communicate with your partner, you're in trouble. Like it just sets you up almost to fail. So communicating is also doesn't come easy for a lot of people. Some people find communicating very, very hard. And I've been known to be like that as well. That is something that I think I'm much better at now than probably what I've ever been at. I really try and communicate if I've got an issue with something. Tom and I are very good at communicating with each other, I think. Tom is a very good communicator, and I'm actively working on becoming better at communication in my own life, both business and personally. Okay, 90% of business is mindset. Well, I 100% agree with this. When you see successful people in business, wealthy people, millionaires, billionaires, they have an air of confidence about them. And, confidence comes from mindset as well. But you don't see millionaires and billionaires and successful business people, you don't see them second guessing themselves. They've built very strong mindsets. They've got strong self-worth about them. They don't second guess anything. Somebody's not asking them for a deal, and they're like sitting there going, no, I don't really know, maybe, what do you think? Like they've built this air of confidence, and they trust themselves. They just trust their gut instincts, or I don't know, they take the actual facts and then they make educated decisions from it. But their mindset is so strong. They focus on a lot of gratitude. You hear them all the time. They speak about gratitude. Many of them speak about God. And they definitely just focus a lot of time. They meditate. They do a lot of inner work on their mindset. And I want you to know as well, every single day I work on my mindset. 20 years ago, I didn't do that, right? This is something that I've learned over the years, that where some of my weaknesses are in my life is that, like, my self-worth, my self-doubt, confidence, different things like that. I am constantly feel like I'm a work in progress with my mindset. And I don't think it's something that just happens. I don't think people are just born with these mindsets that make them stronger than everyone else. I think you have to develop that mindset, and you have to do a lot of self-help, and you have to read self-help books, and you have to listen to self-help podcasts, and you have to listen to interviews with people who are higher than you. It's a bit like when they say you have to also, who you hang around is who you become. If you hang around 5 losers, then you're going to be the 6th loser. If you hang around 5 people doing drugs, you're going to be the 6th person doing drugs. If you hang around 5 very, very successful people, then you'll be the 6th very, very successful person, right? So people hang around with people that are of like minds. They say, if you want to earn $1,000 a day, then go find 5 people earning $1,000 a day and start talking and engaging with those people so that you can be the 6th person that earns $1,000 a day. So I 100% think that some people just seem to get the whole mindset thing from a much earlier age. You can see some of these young people, and I don't know if it comes from how they've been grown up and what their parents' mindsets are like. You can look at Grant Cardone for an example. Love him or hate him, right? He's got this strong mindset, and his daughters are really quite phenomenal. Like, I follow his daughters on Instagram. I prefer to follow his 15-year-old daughters than actually him. Their mindset for 15-year-olds is what mind blows me. It's like, what type of 15-year-old talks like this and thinks like this? But it's because that's how the dad is. Do you know what I mean? The dad has taught them to have mindsets like that. And, you know, I didn't, when my kids were young, my mindset wasn't really that strong. I don't think I had a very good mindset. Like, I struggled with a lot of things. And, you know, there's things now that I'm trying to teach them in ways, and sometimes the kids look at me and they're like, roll their eyes like, oh, mum. But it's like, it might not click with them now, but like, I hope that at some point that, like, little things that I'm trying to teach them now around mindset, around money, I hope that that will kind of like resonate with them down the path, and they might not so much care about it now, but maybe down in the future they will. But yeah, I 100%, 90% of business is mindset. They say the other 10% is financials. So, and you hear a lot of them as well. The guy asked them, if you had to start your business over tomorrow, if you lost everything, would you be able to make it again? One of the guys said, I could go into the jungle and sell to animals and I would be able to do it again. Like, they've just got this confidence about them that it doesn't matter if they fail, they're going to be able to pick it up again and they're going to be able to be successful again. Many of them have failed early on in business, gone bankrupt, and then now they're millionaires and billionaires again. They haven't just failed and then done nothing. Like, they've literally got back up and redone it again. And I think the only way to do that is by mindset. Like, you have to have that mindset where you can believe in yourself and get up and do it again. Just like where it says determination, get up and do it again. And I think it's the same mindset, 100%. But don't think that these people just have this mindset without constantly doing work on their own mindset. It's like a daily part of your life. Once you start learning, I think, about mindset, it becomes like a daily part of your life. There's not a day goes by that I don't do some kind of self-help mindset, listen to something educational, and listen to something that will better me as a person. A lot of them talk about money and saving and just living within your means, not overspending. And, you know, this is downfalls that I've had over the years. Haven't been aware enough of money, haven't always lived within my means, have often spent money that probably should have been saved for other things. So the other thing I really like is they always say pay yourself first. But when they say pay yourself first, they're not actually just talking about pay your weekly wage that's going to pay your bills first. They mean pay yourself first for your future self. So pay yourself first by setting up direct debits every single week of money that's going to go to your future self. That's into like investments, into shares, into savings, whatever it is, however you're going to pay yourself first. But it's not just like pay yourself first and pay your bills and then have nothing left. It's pay your future self first. So that's something that I really need to embrace a little bit more, like not just paying my weekly wage over to my account, but like paying myself. So I do pay myself like a little bit every single week that's going into a high interest savings account. But I really, really want to start on the shares kind of thing and start having like a little amount every single week. And I don't care if it starts off as a little amount, because what these people are saying is it starts off by the habit and taking on the habits of what wealthy people do. And wealthy people, as soon as their pay hits, they pay themselves first, their future self, right? So that's something that like you can automate that with your thing. And it doesn't matter. You might only have $10 a week, right? But they're saying it's creating the healthy habit and getting used to that. And as your money grows, as your income grows, you can increase that from $10 a week to $20 a week, from $20 a week to $50 a week, $50 to $100, whatever it is. As your money increases, you can increase that. That book is going in the bin. It was very, very water damaged. Okay. Now, let me change my page here. Let me see what else I wrote down, guys. I took a lot of notes. This was good. I watched one of the boy that interviews all the rich people, somebody else had interviewed him. And I thought that was really quite an interesting one, because they were asking him like the questions of, okay, you've interviewed all these people. What are your top takeaways from interviewing all these people? So he said that there's 5 main traits that he sees in billionaires and millionaires that are all the same. And the first trait that he said was they all master the art of the word leverage, right? So they leverage people, they leverage capital, they leverage their time. So number 2, they obsess. Give people what they want or need and you will become rich. But if you're able to solve problems, then you will become wealthy. So let's read that again. Give people what they want or need and you will become rich. But if you're able to solve problems, you will be wealthy. So I think that's something we can all reflect on and look at in our own business. Are we offering something that solves somebody's problems or helps somebody or gives somebody what they need? Is our business giving value to other people? Because businesses or people that are just very self-centered and selfish, you know, are nowhere near as successful as the people who give value to other people and create businesses around giving value, solving problems, helping other people. That's how you make money. You think about a big business, if they've got a problem, they'll pay through the nose if you can solve their problem, because it saves them time so that they can go on and make more money doing other things. So you know, that's something that we can all really look at in our own businesses. How are we offering value to other people. So number one, they leverage. Number two, they obsess over what problems they can solve and what they can do to help other people and what they can offer to help other people or give value in. And number three, they attach themselves to other people and they prioritize relationships over transactions. People will take you places that money can't. Access to the money in your network is with people. Your network is your net worth, okay? The only way through to money is through people and through relationships. So when they say access to your money is in your network of people, well, that's just like when they say it's all about who you know. And that's so true, isn't it? Like, you think about it, I can walk into a charity shop, a local one that I've built a relationship up with the staff who work in there. If they know what I'm looking for, so let's say for one, they know that I like to buy Meals and Boon because they watch my videos. But let's say they know I want to buy Meals and Boon. So if I walk into the store, like one of them will say to me sometimes, oh, Mel, I've got all these Meals and Boon out the front that somebody dropped off out the back. Do you want them? And I'll be like, yeah, show me what you've got. I get first pick of those. They haven't even made it out onto the floor yet because they've just been piled up in the waiting to do pile. But as soon as I walk in, because they know what I want, and we've already got like this friendship built up within like me and them, as soon as I walk in, oh, I've got those out the back. Let me go get them for you, right? So if I hadn't spent time building like relationships or friendships with the people who actually work into the charity shops, then like I'd just be another stranger walking in those doors. They wouldn't know what to offer me. So I think you have to get out of your comfort zone and meet people. I know a lot of people don't like meeting new people. They don't like building relationships. They're shy. They're nervous to ask. If you don't ask, you won't receive, right? You never know. And what is the worst that can happen if you ask for something and they say no? Well, the answer is no. But you still got the experience of actually having a knockback. But it doesn't mean, it might take 10 times to get a no, and then you'll get like a yes that could change your whole life. So build relationships with people, help people, give value to them. I think it's also a part of solve other people's problems. What can you do to solve somebody else's problems that will then in turn benefit you? It can't be a one-way street. Like if you're trying to make a relationship with your local charity shop, you can't just walk in there, they've never seen your face before, and come in there like you're God and be like, oh, I buy this and I want this. Will you put this aside for me out the week? They're just going to look at you and be like, no, why would we do that? But if you go in there for 3 months and become their friend and talk to them and know their name, then guess what? Guess what's going to happen? You're going to start to build a rapport with that person. And you haven't asked for anything. So then when you finally do ask for something about trying to make a deal with them, they're going to be much more receptive and much more open to helping you out and making a deal because they already know you. It's all about who you know, right? It's all about those relationships you build. Now, the fourth thing was mentorship. So it doesn't matter how much money they've got, millions or billions of dollars, they still continue to get mentorship all the way through that. And many of them also mentor other people. They basically said you're always selling yourself or you're always selling your brand. And if you're not selling yourself, then your business is not going to succeed. You have to be able to believe in your business, believe in your brand, believe that you're offering something of value to people, and believe that what you're doing is worthwhile. Right, now number 5 was they think in decades, not in days. And I love this because Tech and Sports always says this as well. I always go back to Tech, but Tech is like my millionaire friend. But Tech always says we're not in business for a day. When anybody's complaining about their eBay sales, like, oh, look at my slow eBay sales today, he's always like, you're not in business for today. You're in business for years, right? So you're going to go through these roller coasters and then hopefully it's all going to balance out and even out. But you're going to have, when you're working in sales, you're going to have days where sales are low and then the next day they're up high and then they're down low. But you can't just get negative and constantly be just like worrying about the day. We're not in business for a day. We're in business for long term. So That's what he's saying. These people are all thinking in decades. They're not thinking in days. How much money can this business make me in 10 years' time? Like, they're thinking of the long term. They're investing for the long term. We're going to buy money into index funds. You know, they're not all looking at it to just, you know, do day trading. They're buying to invest into their long-term futures. So nobody gets rich overnight. They said the other thing is patience. Delayed gratification, which is a huge thing in this day and age, I think, is we all want everything now, especially the younger generation. They're kind of used to getting what they want. They want everything now. And we live in this fast-paced society where we think we can just have it now because everything's kind of at our fingertips. But he said, winning in business is very much you're playing the long game, so you've got to be patient. And you've got to have that delayed gratification. You can't just be waiting for that instant gratification. It won't work for you. So I wrote down here that he said macro patience and micro urgency. You've got to be able to give your best every single day. Even on the hard days, you've got to put it in. But then you've got to be able to like be patient to wait for the long-term results. It's like I heard Alex Hormozi the other day in an interview, and he said, what you did 2 years ago is what is benefiting you now. And whatever you do now is going to be benefiting you in 2 years' time. Delayed gratification, patience. Like, we don't just go and list like, oh, I'm going to list 500 things in my store and expect immediately like I'm getting all these extra sales. It doesn't work like that. You've got to be patient. You've got to keep gradually growing the store. And the store, like, just because you add a whole lot of things into your store doesn't mean the next day you're going to get a whole lot of extra sales. You might get like 1 or 2 extra ones, but just because you add like 5, if you went and added 500 things into your store today, doesn't mean tomorrow you're going to go and sell 500 things. Like, it's just not how it happens. So 1 was leverage, 2 was obsess over how you can give value to other people and solve people's problems. 3 was build strong relationships. It's all about who you know, not what you know. And number 4 was mentorship. Take mentorship, listen to other people, get advice, talk to other people that are higher than you. And 5, think in decades, not in days. Right, now Shaquille O'Neal, he's a famous basketball player. He was one of the ones that he interviewed. Shaquille O'Neal suggested that the most important part of scaling your business, if you want to really, really scale it to big business, is delegating the tasks. And he was saying when you hire people, to hire people that are actually better at you. Because he said we're not all designed to be the best at everything. We're meant to have our strengths and we're meant to have our weaknesses. So hire people into the tasks that are better at you at tasks that you're weak at. Now, he also said, listen to your customers' feedback. You don't want to be taking offense to your feedback. You don't want to be getting like emotionally like upset about the feedback. He said, you've got to be looking at that feedback and taking it as critical critique. And then, you know, the things that people are loving in your business, leave in your business. If there's a lot of criticism about certain things in your business, then you have to adjust and change those things. He said people that don't listen to their feedback and then don't change things in their business that people don't like, he said those are the businesses that won't be successful. Now, I liked this one. What separates the middle class to the wealthy people in today's world? Poor people and middle class people feel like everything is expensive as they pay for everything they've exchanged with their time. Whereas wealthy, creative entrepreneurs pay for things according to their creativity. They basically create offers to pay for things that they buy. So one guy used the example, like he was driving this really fancy, I don't know what it was, Lamborghini or something, right? And the guy's saying, so how do you pay for this Lamborghini? And he's like, well, I bought 4 houses, 1 each year for 4 years. And then by the 5th year, I take all the income that those are making from their rentals, and that money that those 4 properties are building pays off for this expensive car. So I'm able to basically get this car for free now off the money that's extra coming in from these rental properties. Plus those rental properties are still increasing in value for the long term to be able to build additional wealth with additional equity. So when I say they're like creating offers, they almost make it into a game for themselves. Well, if I want this Lamborghini, how can I afford the payments of this Lamborghini? Well, if I buy 4 houses, by the time it gets to the 5th year, those 4 houses will have a payment coming in between a lot of them that's going to be enough to cover the cost of my Lamborghini. Now, not all of them want Lamborghinis, but you know, that's just an example of what that means. And I think nearly every single one of those entrepreneurs or millionaires or billionaires that get interviewed all say, stack the cash, you know, spend stuff on things that actually make you money, and spend within your means. So they do not recommend just going out and buying these Lamborghinis. Many of these people are in such financial positions that for tax reasons, they pretty much have to buy these Lamborghinis or expensive things to be able to write money off, so they're not paying all these taxes and stuff. But they're not like they're saying Instagram and stuff is very hard now because there's people out there who are like showing off all these expensive toys or expensive cars or boats or whatever it is, and people like are living this lifestyle and trying to keep up with the Joneses, which has always been a thing. I think there's always been people that try to keep up with the Joneses, and I think many of us, even in our own lives, have tried to keep up with friends and stuff at certain times in their life. But they were saying, you know, like do not spend money until you've got so much money that you have to spend that money. In the meantime, keep stacking the cash, live within your means, know your budget, know where your money is going, know where your money is coming in, be grateful for all the money that's coming in, express your gratitude every single day. And I think all that kind of stuff is so important to just how they get rich. They don't get rich by spending their money. And I'm looking at myself over the years and thinking, I've never really invested into myself or saved money for my future. I've pretty much lived pay to pay, spending every little bit of every single money that I get every single week, you know, between, you know, just on life. And I don't think I've had like an overly fancy lifestyle. I'm not like an overly fancy person. I don't spend money on shoes and handbags and expensive stuff like that, but I like the money still just goes on little things easily. And I know money is something that I'm really thinking of at the moment, so it's probably something you'll hear me talking more about. The more I learn about it, the more I want to share it with other people, because I know I'm not the only one who's like late 40s and like not in the best financial situation of their life. And I'm very open to learning from other people how to financially better myself for the future. Right, so if you've got any money tips, drop them down in the comments. I want to hear all the money tips. I'm like actively, I'm just thriving on it at the moment. I want to hear all about it. So please, any tips you've got about money, drop it down below. And thank you so much for listening. I'll see you in the next one. Go get your work done.